Hi, how are you? My name is Anthony Mason, Group Sales and Facilitator at Peak Performance Coaching Inc. We're here today to shoot our film for the Savy Networker Global Partnership Program. I'm joined in studio today with the founder and director of Peak Performance Coaching Inc., John Marshall. And we are going to give you today a nice little insight into what Peak Performance Coaching is all about. John?
Hey, welcome guys. It's good to be here and thank you for the opportunity to talk to you. We really appreciate everything that the Savy Network's doing for us as a partner and for you as the entrepreneur. And we want to talk to you about creating certainty in your life, what we call crushing it. The concept of what is success for you. And the first thing I want you to do is just take a second while we're getting warmed up and write down what is success for you. What is it that you define success at? And now, Anthony, we know that we have a definition of success within Peak Performance. And why don't you tell everybody what that is?
Well, within Peak Performance, our definition of a success is living your life purpose, honoring your values, and doing it in the present moment. And our definition encompasses crushing it.
All right. So we're going to go through some of the elements. We're not going to get you there today. Couldn't be done in 40 minutes, couldn't be done in an hour, couldn't be done in 2 weeks of doing this because it's a journey. But what we can do is set you up for some of the success you can expect and some of the foundational concepts that make this such a powerful tool. And it starts out with our metaphor. And we always want to know that we've got a way to anchor the teachings down in a manner that you can understand. And one of the things that we use is our tree of life. And the tree of life is all about you. And we want to know, that the tree of life is what?
The tree of life is a metaphor for you as a person. It's the tree is the oldest living thing in the world. Trees live in the most scraggly places, they live in the most lush, abundant places, but the thing with the tree is that it's always a tree. No matter where it is in that moment, it is always that tree.
Yeah. Trees can typically live over 5,000 years old. And this is really something to keep imagined. They are the oldest living organisms on the planet. And the largest living organism in the planet is the root system of a forest. And that's incredible. So we can learn a lot from this metaphor. Trees do one thing and they do it really well. Actually, two things really. They do it really well. What do? They keep reaching for the light. They just keep pushing up to the light every day. And they keep driving their roots down into the nutrients of the soil to get fed. And this is what we need to be doing every day, right? What we talk about mindfulness. This is one of the things that is a common theme at the Savy Networker. And when you're being mindful, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be reaching for that goal, reaching for the light, reaching for your purpose, constantly staying focused on that, and driving your roots down into good, nourishing food. So that's training, that's support people, that is all the things you need to be the best you possible. And it's critical. And with our tree of life, we also talk about the whole person. And when we're sharing about the whole person, what are we talking about, Anthony?
We're talking about your mind, your body, your spirit, and your soul, and the relationship that all the elements of a whole person have, and how when you alter one, or when one is too strong or too weak, how they can affect the whole. And that's really important whenever you're doing any kind of training, is to focus on the whole thing and how it's going to really affect you, right, John?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we got here with our tree is, as Anthony said, we look at the spirit, which is your roots, your soul, which is up in the branches, that's your mind and your emotions, and obviously the body, which is the trunk of the tree. And they're all integrated. If you damage any one part or make any change to any one part of the tree, if you change the roots, the tree gets affected. If you change the foliage and the branches, the tree gets affected. If you damage the trunk, the tree gets affected. And that's just like your life. Every aspect of your life is interconnected. And as individuals, what we often like doing is getting focused on our outcomes or our symptoms. So we have a symptom and we want to put a Band-Aid on it. And that's not what peak performance coaching is about. That's not what crushing it's about. The journey of crushing it is about going deep down and getting to the root of your symptom. Let's look at the actual problem, the fundamental belief that's down deep, and get at it. Because when you change it, you automatically make a change to the whole person. So we're not interested to know that you're just trying to get one more step up a ladder, one more notch of success in the marketplace. That's all nice. But you have to take in the entire person and the entire organization when you're doing these things. And the other thing that becomes so critical is we call it being up in the branches. What do branches do? They're up there getting blown around, the birds are in them, the bugs are in them, everything's happening up in the branches. And when you're up in the branches, what's happening to you, Anthony?
You're up in the branches, you're getting affected. You're getting affected by the environment. Your head is telling you where you need to be, where you're going, and it's doing one thing and one thing only, keeping you from where you actually are.
Yeah, you're being in your mind, right?
Yes.
You're letting your mind control you. And that's the next thing we want to talk about this morning. This is a short, fast teaching. And we've talked about the metaphors of the tree. Always reaching for the light, always putting its roots in the ground. You've got your spirit, your soul, and your body. Now your mind is part of your soul. It's up in the branches, and it's where the world attacks you. It's always trying to be in the past, remembering what was, what went before, and thinking about where the future could be. But nothing happens in either of those places. The past is gone, the future's not here yet. The only place we can actually act is in the now, being present. And the mind doesn't want to be there. You're not your mind. It's just an organ, right? It's just your brain is just a bunch of gray between your ears. It's not who you are. Your spirit is who you are. And you have a choice to make. You can either let your mind dictate where you're going, and that's what the world would like you to do, or you can let your spirit dictate where you're going. And this is a really important component in the journey of crushing it. Now, Anthony, he's an alumni. He started way back 8 years ago, 9 years ago, almost 10 years,
now,
10 years ago. And he went through what was called at the time paradigm thinking. And it is the predecessor to all of this. And it was a transformative moment when he got this idea that all those voices that are in your head are who we are. And what was that experience like?
It's probably one of the most common experiences I've had in my life. I was in a place where the voices and the wind and everything else was pushing in on me and telling me how to be and how to act and who I needed to be. And when you realize that your mind is just a tool, it's like any tool. In the hands of someone skilled, you can use it to make beautiful things. But in the hands of someone without skill and without knowledge, it can be very, very destructive. And when you learn to harness the power of the mind and to quiet those voices, you have peace and calm, and your head's quiet. And I remember when I really got this for the first time, just sitting there and going to bed, and my head was quiet. It was just quiet time, and it was a great feeling.
And that's a really great point that you just brought out. How about when you go to bed? How many of you have trouble getting to sleep at night? I can tell you that through this journey, because I've lived this journey too, everything that we talk about, whether it's in this training or any other training we do, I've lived through and had to have lived through as an individual. But I had the same issue. I'd go to sleep, I'd sleep for a while, wake up, and everything's going on in my head. Once you've learned that you're not your mind, once you've learned to quiet those voices, 8 hours of sleep is a piece of cake. You'll go to sleep, stay asleep. When you do wake up, you may go to the washroom, you may do a turn around and, oh, I don't need to be up yet, and you go right back to sleep because you've learned to calm that noise up in your head because you're in control. And it's a choice that you have to make each and every day. And you know this because you've had some challenging times over the last few years. And in those times when the world really was squeezing on you, those voices started to come back, didn't they?
The voices always come back, and they want to work their way in. And we have a tendency to go back to where we were for the longest time. So this is always a journey. But when you have the tools, when you have the knowledge, you can put it into play. And that's kind of what crushing it's all about, right, John, is making yourself aware of what's going on.
Absolutely.
And then practicing and strengthening it, and then put it into real life use. And when you can put it into, when you can draw on that every single moment when these things happen, you get through them. So everybody falls back, but it's a matter of getting through it quicker and in a less destructive way.
Amazing. So what is it that we want you to have as your takeaway from this? We've talked about a metaphor, big deal. It's a tree, but it's a powerful tree. Following the life of a tree is a great way to look at your life. In the midst of trouble, a tree does two things. It just keeps reaching for the light. It keeps driving its roots into the ground. In the face of adversity, let's say, strong winds, what's a tree do? It's not rigid, it's not solid. A tree is actually always in motion, always swaying, giving, and yielding to the forces around it while it continues to reach for the light and drive its roots into the ground, seeking stability and nutrition. And we need to do the same thing in our lives. As you face your challenges, as you face these changing times, I want you to keep thinking about that. You're going to yield to the world around you. As they change the rules, close, open, this many people, that many people, are people responding to your ads, not responding to your ads? You're going to bend and move and flex with that as you continue reaching to your goals, reaching to your purpose, reaching to your business, and driving down in knowledge and strength. Secondly, we talked about not being your mind. And this is key too, because that's what's keeping you up at night. That's where your stress comes from. This is the battleground. Those voices in your head want to say, keep you thinking you can't do this, you're never going to make it, if you're not good enough. It's this ongoing dialogue that takes place every time something challenges your idea of what's going to come. And we want you to start getting control on that and knowing whether or not that's who you want to be. Do you want to let your mind control you, or do you want to control your mind? And lastly, we talked about the whole person. We'll touch one area of your life, every other area gets affected. So take the time to look at what area of your life is having the most difficulty. Write down, what is your definition of success? Not your definition of success, actually. When do you know you've had success? That's what's more important, because success will change. So how do you know when you're finally successful? How do you know when you're there? This is the key, and that's your takeaway. So take that time. As soon as this video's over, which is just about now, I want you to sit down and write down, put it in an envelope, and set it aside. I will be successful when? When my voices are calm, when I sleep through the night, when I have what? What is that? Is it external or is it internal? Is it all about someone else doing something, or is it about something that you have? So if you're going to crush it in your life, if you want to have certainty, you've got to bring this inside. And it's a fundamental belief both Anthony and I hold, that we believe that everything you need to be completely successful, regardless of your circumstances or finances, live within you. Honor your values, live out your life purpose in the present moment, and you'll be crushing it. I'm John Marshall.
I'm Anthony Mason.
This has been Crushing It. Have a great day.